Alright, with all of that said, let's go ahead and jump into the game. Okay, we're going to wait... No, we're not going to wait 25 seconds to have exactly 30 minutes of preamble. That's becoming too memeish now. Alright, let's find something. I like a neutral. I like a neutral portrait, honestly. Something with a helmet. Watching Aavak play Starsector and playing Stardew, mega good vibes for me tonight. Oh, that's fantastic, Raging Orrock. I hope your farm is doing well. I wish to understand the stream. How long are you in the mood for streaming today, Aavak? Is this feeling like a 5-6 hour stream? I'm gonna be honest, if I only felt like doing a 5-hour stream, I wouldn't start. A stream for me feels short if it's less than 8 hours. It's not that I won't do a 5-hour stream. Like if I suddenly develop a headache or something midway through, I'll wrap things up early. But it's uncommon for it to be 6 hours long. Normal for it to be 8 hours long. Likewise, pretty normal for it to be up to 12 hours long, and pretty uncommon for it to be like 16 hours long, but not unheard of. Stream until the run is finished. Okay, 4-week-long stream confirmed. No, we're not going to be doing that. I kind of like that one. That one looks cool. Kind of how I imagine someone's helmet visor would look. Same with this one. Going through some sort of regular-shaped portal. May or may not look like an obelisk from the outside. Might actually be full of stars. We'll go with this one. Mysterious figure, always hidden by their face concealing helmets. Some outlandish theories claim the rogue admiral was a red space dragon. Exactly, Matt. Exactly. And this honestly just fills in with the whole vibe I always had when I was playing Eve as well. It was always a case of give people as little information as you can about who they're dealing with. Keep them on the back foot. Whenever my corp was in war, there was a strict iron curtain kind of policy with regard to smack. We could be camping outside the station. We'll all be chatting up a storm, just having fun, you know, like most of us were Welsh, so there was an awful lot of chatter going on. But when it came to what anyone else would get, no matter how much smack was thrown our way, it was like, no, you don't ever talk to him. You don't engage with him whatsoever. And their leader would send me so many mails, and I would never respond. At the beginning, I would respond, like a little bit of diplomacy, see if a war could be avoided, unless I wanted it. But once war was declared, it was like, okay, silence. And they might be trying to broker an end to the war, and they're like, no, we're just absolute silence. They would start sending messages to the other members, like, your leader won't talk to me. It's like, they won't talk to you either. Until I was ready. They would wait until I was ready to talk to them. It was good times. Good times. It wasn't just spaceship war. It was psychological war. Ideally we would win the war before significant spaceship conflicts actually happened. You know, the odd ganking a hauler if we could catch them in low sec, notwithstanding. To be fair though, my corp would often take significant losses. It's just we wouldn't feed into the machine, you know. Eve is always a psycho war. I said... I didn't say psycho war, but perhaps... Yeah, that's actually probably a reasonable one, yeah. Elusive Big Belly, thank you very much for the prime. But yeah, we're going to go with this one. Mixed, normal, I see no reason to go small. We could go... we go with this one, I think. One of the big things that I like about the idea of Next Island is a completely randomly generated world. Ganymede Burton, Travis Yang, Bogdan Mulnier, Casey Bolton, Feshu Lindsay, I have no idea how to pronounce that first one, Aeneas Zhu, Andon Quell, Dale Serian, Casey Third Shift. That's an interesting surname. Ganymede Grant. Really? Oh dear me. I love the language filter on chat. Apparently, shut your mouth is considered profanity. How is shut your mouth considered... What? I have no idea. I mean, I was shorthanding psychological, but yeah, that's legit too. Eve is insane. No, exactly, Pandos. It works as psychological or psycho. Both are actually appropriate for Eve. Yeah, dox your opponent and cut his internet, so you can gank his Death Star. Eve Online. Yeah, pretty much. Abasi Chand, Saturn, Misek, Laza, Argyle. I kind of like Argyle. Rottenev. Sunday Rottenev. Where's an Anu Nuevo? Gordon Hickman. Wow. That is such... Wow. Dear Lord. About next is Random Sector. I wouldn't recommend it for any future runs since it gets rid of any handcrafted exploration content and mods. Any mods add and is subjected to a lot of bugs. Oh, that's a shame, Cayman, because that, I'll be honest, is one of the big things that was drawing me to that. I've never met the streamer before. I'm just reading back on some of the other things you said. But he seems like the 12-hour stream daily guy. No, I do not stream daily. I have no schedule for my streams. It's just when I do stream, I stream for a long time, typically. But probably 3-4 times a week is what you'd get from me. I do not stream every day. Specifically because I've got way too much stuff to do. I also maintain 2 YouTube channels as well. So I have the VOD channel for my Twitch VODs, which you can get to by !archives, and I've got my main YouTube channel, which is just literally just youtube.com/Aavak, which I put up more crafted content. Catch an Aavak stream almost at the beginning. What is this witchery? Hi, Aavak and Dapplings. Hello, Yunfei. Bold of you to assume this is near the beginning. Well, I mean, Nate, if you look underneath the window of, like, you don't even need an uptime command. If you just look underneath the counter on the main viewer on Twitch, it'll tell you how long it's been running for. I feel that Yunfei has some help with that one. Mima Stasis, Patrick Dallin, Benjamin Olympus. I like Olympus. We're going to keep Olympus. Oh, can I not keep Olympus? Okay. I guess I'm going to have to delete the whole thing. Where will we go? We can have Carolinus. No. All right. Speaking about roleplay earlier on and characters that I've played. We're going to go with... this is fantastic. We're going to go with one of the names, because obviously Carolinus, which was the last character I streamed on here, was named after my tech priest in Dark Heresy, which the role-playing of I streamed. Well, the second character I had in that, after Carolinus was gone, was Epictetus. My demon hunter. So we're going to go with, because Olympus, come on, all right? Come on. Epictetus Olympus. Rolls off the tongue. It's thematic. Epictetus Welshman. The Greek god of dapperness and tea. Well, I mean... okay. On the other side, I don't want to give on that sweet paragon with advanced targeting core I have, but in the end, I might want to start over anyway. A high percentage of systems seem to not contain planets. Oh, that's a shame. That's a real shame. I mean, any kind of procedural generation needs an element of null randomness to really make it work. God of dapperness tea and smiting thine enemies. I mean, Epictetus certainly did try. What did he have in the end? I think he had a thunderhammer in the end. That was a pretty wild time. Okay. Your most recent occupation was... I could go with a wolf frigate just for a pretty standard start. A scavenger commanding a Wayfarer class combat freighter would give us more cargo capacity. An explorer leading a salvage expedition from on board an Apogee class cruiser. I feel I don't want either of the faster starts. I kind of like clawing my way up, honestly. It's biggest dickus, not epic dickus. Well, what about epic dickus? I mean, you know, you could go with that. Either way, though, we had this conversation. I walked into that one assuming that everyone, you know, would have had at least some degree of classical studies in their education, would know how to pronounce such names as Epictetus. But no, apparently not. Apparently not. It was way too close to epic dickus for the vast majority of Twitch chat to be able to handle. And, yeah, if I said I didn't somewhat regret choosing that as an awesome name, because it is an awesome name, I would be lying. But at the same time, I felt that I needed to champion this name. My lord. My lord. Baron Mac, thank you very much for the gifts of there. Super kind of you. Yeah, Nosferatu Light. Okay. What do you say, chat? Go for a scavenger commanding a Wayfarer class combat freighter or a bounty hunter with a Wolf class frigate. This will lead more to initial combat. This one will be a little bit more on the trade side of things. Either way, we'll slowly mold the fleet. I'm not sure what we're going to be going with, but like in long term, but I'm feeling like a carrier focus fleet, I think, might be interesting. Classical studies is not a standard in the Americas, which is a shame, honestly. Knowing where you came from helps you know where you're going. Never rely on chat, or tabletop players for that matter, to take anything seriously. That is absolutely fair, yes. I enjoy the Wolf very much. In this game and in EVE Online. Well, yeah, that's fair. I say freighter because it's fun. And freightery. Scavenger, scavenger. I love freighters. I support this. Random. Well, the random start could give me one of these, so I'm going to say no. We'll go with the freighter then. Okay, next. A kite-class shuttle under the command of an experienced subordinate. So that would give us an officer at the beginning. Nice. Or a Shepherd-class drone tender with a cargo of heavy machinery. Would open us up for some early scavenging. Also, the drones are kind of cool. What do we feel, chat? Go with the... Honestly, like, between the ships, the Shepherd is the better ship. But the experienced subordinate... The experienced subordinate is a tempting one. Having a decent officer right out the get-go is nice. Drone tender. We're going to be going drone tender. Let's go for that one then. Tunk. Going on normal difficulty. Tunk. Yeah, we'll start with the tutorial. We may as well. It's been a while. It has been a while. I like kind of cool machines over boring people. I agree with this. Welcome to Starsector. Your fleet is in the middle of nowhere and critically low on supplies. If you don't acquire more supplies, your fleet will suffer through a slow but ultimately fatal decline. Fortunately, there is a debris field nearby. Move up to it and activate your scavenge ability and search it for useful cargo. Scavenging requires heavy machinery, but there is some in your cargo hold. Make sure to take all of the supplies and any other valuable cargo, but feel free to leave the cheap and bulky metals behind. To get your fleet moving, click on an empty space in the direction you want to move. It is fine. We do more or less know how to play, but we'll go through all of the tutorial bits, nevertheless. Your fleet assumes a stable orbit relative to the debris field. The field appears stable and will not drift apart anytime soon. Long-range scans indicate it's likely something of value could be found inside. There are indicators that what salvage to be had may not be easy to get to, and there's significant risk involved in running a salvage operation. Well, there's significant risk involved in living. In fact, you have a 100% chance so far of dying if you're alive. So I think worrying about the risk of salvage operation is just par for the course, really. Crew machinery required. Well, we've got 30 heavy machinery. We've got, well, I mean, our crew is okay. Skilled personnel experienced in the maintenance and day-to-day operation of spaceships and smaller ground-based installations. Scavenging effectiveness is 43%, 25% base effectiveness, 75% because of the heavy machinery we have available. We've got no salvaging skill. Fleet-wide salvaging capabilities, plus 10. Oh, nice. I'm not sure where we got that from. Probably, would it be the Shepherd? It might be the combat freighter. Only 0.76 because of crew available. We are 19 below what we need. And the debris field is not particularly dense, so, you know. The good old opening missions, aka tutorial. Yeah, exactly. The Shepherd has a salvaging array. There we go then. Begin salvage operation. An accident during the operation has resulted in the loss of 2 crew and 5 heavy machinery. Oh no. It's okay, the machinery has been recovered, but sadly, the crew are gone. We will have to have... I mean, it said lost, so I'm assuming they didn't just die and we recovered the body. I guess their bodies are somewhere and we can't find them. So we're going to have a symbolic funeral. For this funeral, their names were Jim and Job. Poor old Jim and Job. Job is only 3 days out of retirement. Alright, let's go ahead and quick save. I love how the tutorial really emphasizes saving the cave, to be honest. Sadly, the crew didn't hold up nearly as well in the section that got exposed to space as the heavy machinery did. Indeed. Right, a pirate fleet is approaching. First, you'll spot it as a sensor contact, and then as an unidentified fleet. And then, when it gets very close, you'll see its true colors. Okay, so we've got... This is me and my Borer drone. Slow and not very sturdy, this combat-modified mining drone is nonetheless capable at keeping hostiles off its mothership for a time. Fielded in numbers, it can even present a credible threat to smaller combat ships. They've got 1 mining laser. Is there a way for me to bring up more information on the actual mining laser itself? Oh, yeah, you can cycle the weapon. Oh, that's so good. So good. Wow. I've never noticed that before, because I'm a dumb. Trip utility laser that is hardwired for missiles and fighter defense. This configuration gives it longer range than most point defense weapons. It's got 600 range, actually. That's not too bad. There we are. So, no unusual meats for dinner tonight? No. No. We're not recycling our crew yet. Maybe later. Don't worry, the pirate ship is shoddy rust bucket, and if you lose, you can press F9 to quick load. I see what you're up to, Starsector. You're trying to develop bad habits of save scumming. I refuse. Disgustrous. We totally will. I'm not going to be hard and fast on if we die, we die. That's the entire run gone. This game isn't built around that, but we won't be save scumming outside of that kind of scenario. Unless we ultra lose, there will be no reloading. And even if things start looking bad, we will try our best to get out of them. Save scumming? I would never. Even so, combat can be expensive, especially if there's no bounty on the enemy you fight. Deploying ships into battle reduces the combat readiness, and recovering combat readiness consumes supplies. Battle damage can cost even more supplies to repair. You can absolutely have a Pyrrhic victory. However, fighting is often necessary to survive. Wait for the pirate fleet to approach, then defeat them. Hello? Oh, there you are. Hi! The pirate ship maneuvers to prevent you from disengaging easily. It does not appear to be certain of your identity. Any hostilities will have a reduced impact on your reputation. Let's have a look at you. You are equipped with 1 medium ballistic and 3 small ballistic. You've got a light assault gun, 1 thumper, and 2 Vulcan cannons, okay? We can open a comm link. We'll move into disengage or attempt to disengage, or disengage by executing a series of special maneuvers. We don't have any story points, and the whole point of this is to actually fight. So, move into engage. We don't need to talk to you. We already know we're going to fight. The opposing fleet moves in to join the battle. Let's get in there. Okay, now, chat. How many in chat right now actually know what Starsector is? What I'm trying to get an idea of is how much tutorialiness should I offer? How much explaining of the whys and wherefores of what I'm doing do I need to do? Thumbs up if you know the game. Thumbs down if you would like to have a little bit more methodical explanation of what's going on. Yes, Mountain Blade in space is the gist of it, yeah. I've seen it before, but I don't know a lot of detail. I know the basics. I'm seeing a lot of thumbs up. One thumb down so far. It's a game where you continually lose supplies. Kind of like life, really. When you think about it, you sort of do... You do tend to lose supplies all the time. We're constantly burning fuel. Life is just a long chain of events that shackle together moments when you refuel yourself. That's all life is. Endless quest for nutrition. I don't know what's going on, but I'm just here to listen. Well, that's fine. Okay, well, I see a couple of thumbs down, so we'll do a little bit of tutorialiness, but we won't go into great depth. You can select ships to deploy at the beginning of each battle and deploy reinforcements. I will read through all of the tutorial messages. That'll be, the main part of the tutorialiness that I'll offer. But if there are any questions in chat, do not hesitate. Not only will I be able to answer them, perhaps, if I spot them, but chat seems quite knowledgeable, and so we'll probably be able to help you as well. Deploying a ship reduces its combat readiness by a fixed amount. In addition, ships will begin to gradually lose combat readiness after their peak readiness time runs out. Recovering combat readiness takes time and consumes valuable supplies. Okay, that's good and done. We're going to deploy everything we've got, which will cost us a total of 8 supplies out of the 240 required to deploy ships. The side more able of engaging on its terms gets more points. This is determined at the start of the engagement by the presence of capable officers in command of combat-ready ships. Okay. Right, so right now it's like 240 is the maximum that we could put out there, but I believe that this can get much larger over time. The enemy can deploy 160 points and we can deploy 240 just because our fleet is larger, and perhaps because I'm an officer in it. Once you get to... This is not really going to be something that is going to matter until much later in the game. When you start seeing fleets that are so large, you couldn't realistically deploy all of the ships in one go anyway. Then, which side gets the most points really is going to start swaying battles. Okay, let's go. Now, this is the map screen. Lots of things can be done from here, but honestly, I kind of like running it from the actual in-game screen right here. We're going to keep going. The drone tender is going to be out there. We've got a contact. Right. Let's have a quick look at you properly. Can I... Actually, I'll just pause it there and then we'll hover over you. So we can get a load of useful info there. Can I actually unhook the camera from my vessel? I don't actually know if I can easily. But we can see all of its various subsystems. We've got the weapons. And they are physical things. You can damage and knock out a weapon. They'll eventually repair it and bring it back online again. But you can... It's not really applicable here, but in much bigger ships, you can totally, like, aim or try to focus your fire on particularly dangerous weapons to take them out of the fight for a little while until their crew can repair it. And depending on the officer and the crew, that might take longer or less time, especially the modifications you can put on it. There's quite a lot of stuff you can get in here. But... can you actually look at its codex entry? Hover over it, pick in the bottom left for the weapon it's using. Can you? I think that one's mine, isn't it? Let me bring this up. Ah, there we go. Thank you very much. I knew there was a way, but it's been a while since I've played. So, here's all of the information that we have on it. We can also see the hull mods, rugged construction, shielded cargo holds, blast doors, flux distributor, flux coil adjuncts. So we can get useful information in this, but early on it's absolutely not going to be necessary for us. But what I can do is I've got some command points. These regenerate over the course of the battle. I get one every 110 seconds. Honestly, you don't want the battle to be lasting that long. We can go all in on this, but I'm just going to say, look, I want you to engage it with your striker craft. I'm going to be there using my gun. Now, right now, no one's popped up their shields, but I'm about to do that. There we go. I've got some of my weapons are on auto fire. My flux is going up. Let's get back here. I dropped my shield, don't need it. So I'll pause it for a second. The whole thing with flux, the two things you can see here that are the ultra important. Hull is literally your ship's hull. If that hits 0, you're dead. If that just starts dropping, people inside your ship are probably dead. The flux is... Think of it like... Well, you can think of it as heat. If you want to, because it's kind of hard to say what flux is. It's basically the accumulation of the byproduct of running your guns, running your shields, using certain abilities, generates flux. And once flux caps out, it will overload your ship systems and your ship will have to bleed its flux dry. Now, you can do that early, or you can be forced to do it. If you're forced to do it, then you have to passively vent that flux. And it's very slow. And while that's happening, your ship is basically dead in the water. Your ship systems are all sparking, nothing is working, the control systems are all exploding, you've got red shirts being flung left and right, bad things are going on in the bridge. It's battle stations taking lots of danger. Your shields are down is the big thing, and you're not shooting back. So an enemy, it's at that point when you're overloaded, they want to dump all of the heavy firepower that can easily be shot down because it moves slowly, like torpedoes, into you as possible because you're not going to stop it. And that's quite often when you're going to die. Obviously, you want to try and stop that. Shields are a great way of stopping it, but having a shield up at all generates flux. So you've kind of got a balancing act. Every time a shield absorbs an impact, it generates flux. Every time you shoot a gun, it generates flux. So you've got to kind of try and pick the times. It's like when you're like in any FPS. Pick the time to reload. Don't just reload when you run out of bullets, because you might run out of bullets in a pitched exchange of firepower. Reload when it's quiet, when there's no one shooting at you and you've got a few seconds, because you can do it really quickly if you intentionally do it. If you're just firing your gun and then suddenly it starts clicking and there's no bullets there, you've got that moment of panic. Oh shit, I've run out of bullets and I'm being shot. And you're going to take longer to reload there. Like right now, my flux is halfway up and I'm going to do something in a second. Oh, let me pop my shield there. Oh, sorry. Let me scooch around. Nope. Forget how to... Oh, is it shift? Ah, right, it's shift. Sorry, I was trying to work out how I could change the aim on my ship without actually having to move to the side, for example. But I'm going to do something in a second. I'm going to vent my flux. I'm going to vent the flux very quickly. I'm going to take some damage on the armor at the front of my ship, but that's fine. Popping my shields again. There's so much going on right now that I'm trying to remember. But if you hold down shift, then your ship will orient towards the direction of your cursor. You can strafe, basically. Note that overloaded ships can still move. Yeah, you can still move, but don't you receive a penalty to your ability to move? Yeah, flux is basically waste heat. You need to dump that, but it's not actually heat. It's more like some sort of electronic discharge, but effectively. So thinking of it as heat is a good way of doing it. But yeah, if I intentionally vent flux, I shut down my ship and I dump that heat. Again, think of it as heat if you want. And I can do that really, really fast, but when I do that, I am... Again, kind of vulnerable. I can't do things like pull my shield up if I need to, etc., etc. You know what? Let me pop my shield back up. I was just looking through the weapons there to see if I actually had any missiles, but I really don't. I should have checked that on my ship. But one of the problems there was that I didn't want to be shooting, but I was, because a lot of my guns are auto fire. So I was piling on the flux when I just kind of wanted to sit there and talk a little bit. But we'll get back to that soon. Manually disabling weapon groups on bigger ships might also be a good way to limit flux. Yeah, exactly. Core Dragon. Precisely. Lazarus. Dim yn siŵr fyddech gweld chi cyn y Nadolig, ond gobeithio cadwch chi wyliau hapus. Dim llai. I really enjoy Starsector. I have had some mods to enjoy it more, like terraforming ones for those planets you can change. Have fun. Oh, okay. I'll have a look into those. One of the only mods that I ever get suggested is Nexoralin. But I would actually, if you're on the Dapper Del Discord, please by all means pop into House of Fun and dump a couple of suggestions for Starsector mods, because I am looking forward to some of that. Some of the really high-end, high-tech ships get stupidly fun with the amount of flux dissipation they have. Infinite lasers. Yes, truly. Right, okay. So, the pirate ship maneuvers to prevent you. The opposing fleet moves into battle. Preliminary reports indicate 2 crew and no Marines were lost during the last engagement. Another 2 crew. This was Bob and Jeremy. So sad. Your forces were able to gain a complete victory in the last engagement because no one got out alive. Salvage crews are able to recover 193 credits from the CPU cores still active in the wreckage. We had a little bit of issue with the overall relationship with the pirates as a consequence of that as well. Your fleet supply consumption has just gone up. Recovering combat readiness used to deploy ships into battle costs supplies, as does repairing battle damage, which we took a lot more of than we should have. To reduce supply usage, repairs and CR recovery on ships can be suspended from the fleet screen. I'll bring that up for you right now. So in here I could tell them, yeah, don't repair this ship. Because we're using a lot of materials right now. At the moment, just to repair the hull damage that we took. But I would actually like them to repair it, surprisingly. We can go into the refit screen. Refitting a ship in space will cause it to lose some combat readiness. The amount lost depends on the extent of the changes made, and is indicated by the dimmed portion of the combat readiness bar. Refitting at a market or station does not reduce combat readiness. We're not going to refit here, but one of the biggest things that's cool about this game is how you can refit your ships. And you can just decide how to set them up. You've got a limited amount of ordnance points that you can use to spend on your ships, whether that is equipping weapons, adding mods, which can be all sorts of stuff, like unstable injectors, which will increase their speed, safety overrides, much the same again. Hardened subsystems gives them more operating time before they start to degrade from being deployed for too long. Armored weapon mounts, so on and so forth. Reinforced bulkheads make the ship much more likely to be recovered after a fight, and also gives it some extra hull integrity. Flux distributors helps me vent flux. We've got capacitors and vents which deal with flux. So the capacitors indicate how much flux you can store before it overloads your systems. Vent is how much you passively dissipate. You can also get information, for example, the arc of your shield once it's at full charge. It takes time to rise though. The amount of flux the shield itself will generate per second, the shield flux per damage, so every single point of damage, and quite often this will be damage in the hundreds, will generate this much flux. Weapon flux per second. If all of your weapons are firing all at the same time, this is how much flux you would generate from all of those weapons. And some of the designs are asymmetric, some of them are a bit more symmetric, but depending on how you equip them, you might have very different capabilities on different sides of your ship. So you might want a broadside favouring one side of the other, or you might want to just barrel down towards your opponent. There's a lot of different things you can do. Aavak streams are counter to my attempt to stay on a day schedule until Christmas. It's 2 a.m. here. I'm sorry, Dad. Hey, Agena Prime. Rip those 2 dudes feels bad. I know, right? Base game is good. I just wanted to make my own my own sector, and thought it was really silly that we didn't have any tech to terraform the planet. So I looked some up. Well, I mean, within the law of the vanilla game, there is a reason. Like, we are high tech, but only just. We're not actually producing that tech. We're just using the hand-me-downs of the domain. But by the way, Lazarus, thank you very much for that message. It's always wonderful to get some messages in Welsh. It's really kind of you. I almost always just use autofit, then maybe change a weapon or two or something special. I guess I should learn to use the system, but not so far. Honestly, if you like autofit, go with autofit. There's no one way to play this game, and that's something I quite like about it. But we've got all sorts of things that we can do. We can name the ships. We can name the officers once we have them, and we shall be doing that. So do prepare yourselves. We will be doing some namings somewhat soon. Are these built in? I wonder if the drone tender can actually field anything other than... No, yeah, they are built in. I can't remove these ones. So that is just the function of this ship. It has those drones. But it also has a salvage gantry. Increases the resources gained from salvaging abandoned stations, derelicts, floating hulks, and other such by 10%, 25%, 30%, and 40% depending on the hull size. Only affects the recovery of common resources such as fuel and supplies, and not rare items like blueprints. In addition, 20% of the bonus applies to post-battle salvage, which is actually quite nice. Each additional ship with a salvage gantry provides diminishing returns. The highest recovery bonus from a single ship in the fleet, the later the diminishing returns kicks in. So, I think what this means is that right now, the highest bonus we're giving is the total resource bonus is 10% because this is the smallest hull we have. If I added another one of this ship, it would only go up by 8% instead of 10%. But perhaps if I had a ship that was adding 40%, then this increase would be maybe another straight up 10% if I added another frigate with this salvage gantry. I think that's what it's saying. Either way, the fleet-wide post-battle salvage bonus is 2%, which is actually quite nice. Getting those numbers up if we're going to be going with a more salvage-focused fleet would be very important. Sorry about that, chat. I just needed to open a drink. Lock and Loaded by Tratraflet adds some Merc action into the game. Industrial Evolution adds a bunch of colony buildings. Should be a good start for mods. I like Starship Legends. Gives all ships, yours and NPCs, some randomness. Your ships based on combat performance can gain some buffs and malices. Oh, I think I've actually looked at that one. That's actually a pretty cool one. But okay. We're not going to change anything because there's really no need to. But we can add all sorts of... I think all of these are built in. So it's got surveying equipment. Reduces the heavy machinery and supplies required to perform surveys on planets. Because you can eventually settle planets and develop your own colonies. Which is absolutely awesome. And you can form your own faction. Right now, we're just flat out a mercenary company. But later on, we could actually be a major player in the system. If we wanted. Press F5 to complete to continue this tutorial. There we go. Tutorial is big on saving. Is tutorial doing anything? There we go. You've gained a level. You gain 1 skill point with each level up, and an additional point at the start of the campaign. You also gain story points, so you can gain experience. These can be used to take exceptional actions to make your own story in a way. I really like the way that they have story points in this game. I think it's a really cool system. The tutorial will introduce using these a bit later. But the story points really do add a lot more flavour to a playthrough. Skill points are used to learn skills. Skills are arranged in 4 aptitudes: combat, leadership, technology, and industry. Each aptitude has a number of tiers. You advance to the higher tiers by picking skills from the lower ones. Skills that affect your piloted ships that affect your piloted ship, all combat skills, and a few skills in other aptitudes can be made elite at the cost of a story point. The maximum level you can ever have is 15. There are far more skills than 15, so you do have to kind of specialize your character, which gives rise to additional runs of the game. Press C to open the character tab and consider your options. You don't have to actually spend the point for now if you don't want to. I think I do though. Clonk. Alright. 2 skill points, 4 story points. All of these have an elite version, which I can spend a story point on. And some of these do. Let's see. There's a couple there, for example. And a couple there as well. Now, this update has brought a massive change to the skills. A massive change to the skills. And is the primary reason why we're doing this rather than continuing my previous run. Also, and it's been so long since I played, I'd probably just do an awful job of it. But depending on the way we want to build out our fleet, We only have access to these more highlighted ones. The grade ones required certain investments earlier on. These are the elite skills. I super approve of this one being all the way over here at this point. This was such an OP skill, and it appeared earlier in the skill list previously. Removing demods. Demods, well, we don't have any yet, but basically demods are damaged parts of the ship, like serious damage. Like you could imagine with your house, if a plug bursts a fuse, you just replace the fuse. But if the wiring in your wall degrades because of something, that's a much bigger bloody job to fix. That's not simply, I'm just going to unscrew the plate on the plug socket and replace something. That's I'm going to have to get a builder in to remove a wall and then repair the wiring. And it might not be an easy repair either. Maybe this degradation is now the whole wiring in my house. I'm going to have to gut my house to fix this problem. I might just live with it instead. That's basically what a demod is, okay? It is a big problem, and it's incredibly expensive to repair. So, having a skill that just periodically removes one means that your fleet will be in pristine condition eventually. And yeah, no, exactly. Removing some demods might be more expensive than buying a new ship sometimes. But right now, these are the only ones we have to consider. Field repairs, plus 50% ship repair rate outside of combat. The faster that happens. I don't know if it reduces the amount of supplies used for it, or if it's just faster, but uses the same overall amount of supplies. Either way. 25% of hull and armor damage taken repaired after combat ends, at no cost. That's actually kind of nice. Now, this one has a maximum at 240 or less total deployment point cost. So right now, you can end up moving around a fleet that's like 500 points. You're not going to be able to deploy 500 points at a time, but your fleet will still have a deployment cost. Like the size of your fleet would still be measured in that metric, even though you couldn't bring the entire fleet into the battle. But anything over 240, which we could get to later game, would mean that this skill is less effective. But right now, it would be perfect. Ship recovered ship starts with 30 to 40 hull integrity and 30 to 40% combat readiness. That's actually quite good, because that would reduce the amount of materials used to recover ships by a lot. I guess the question is, are you planning to do the main storyline? If not, I recommend Nav. Otherwise, the salvaging skill or field repairs is also recommended. I'll pretty much pick things as I want really came on, but thank you very much for the input. If I'm not intending to do the main storyline, I could just go straight for transverse jump. I'm not that new to the game, but thank you, thank you very much for the input. Bulk transport. You can no more escape the economy than you can escape gravity. It surrounds us, contains us, uplifts us. It bound the galaxy together once and will again. This one is just more capacity for personnel, fuel, cargo. Can be useful if we intend to do more of a trading run, and that is certainly an option for us right now. We've also got salvaging. Now, this one I kind of feel like leaning into a little bit. Plus 50% resources, but not rare items, such as blueprints recovered from abandoned stations and other derelicts. Plus 20% post-battle salvage, and minus 75% crew lost in non-combat operations. You know how we've done a little bit of salvaging, and then we had a bit of... we had 2 people lost. This would reduce that. I mean, we'd only have lost Jim before. I think we'll go with this one as a skill point. Now that immediately unlocks this for us. We've got polarized armor. The pre-collapse manuals say never to do this. No, I don't know. I haven't had any problems so far. Okay. So maximum damage reduction by armor increased from 85 to 90%, up to 100% armor for damage reduction calculations only, based on current hard flux level. EMP damage taken reduced by 50% based on current hard flux level. Hull mod shield shunt removes shields, increases armor. I probably wouldn't go for that. Plus 25% flux dissipation rate if we upgraded that. Ships without a shield or a phase cloak are treated as always having 50% hard flux. Oof. That's a bit rough. Or +2 flux dissipation per ordnance point spent on weapons. And then +20%, plus 20 flux capacity per ordnance spent on weapons. That's kind of cool. So the more guns you got, the better you can vent stuff. I think, though, we'll take 1 point in salvaging and then either something... I mean, if we went more down the carrier route, I'd be inclined to lean more into leadership than direct combat myself. But you can totally play this game as an RTS if you want, rather than you directly controlling the ships. Oh, also, hello, Ionic Naga, how you doing, buddy? But you can kind of swing more towards directly being in control of the fights, or more of the captain on the flagship directing the ships via command points. Aha! I am back in Night City. Got it to work in the end. Oh, well, fantastic, Lazarus. Hello, person with so many letters in their name that I don't know how to enunciate. I shall call you Jeffrey. Hello. Which is fair, I feel, since Jeffrey is in your name. The flux bonus one actually seems really good. Up to 100% armor for damage reduction calculations only based on the current... Oh, right, of course. So if you haven't got a shield anyway, then you're always treated as having 50% hard flux, even though you don't have it. Right. I get it. That is actually a bonus in that instance. Thank you very much for pointing that out. We've got tactical drills, which will give weapon damage for combat ships. Perfect. Now do it again. So just all of the ships in the fleet would be good. So if we have a large fleet, the leadership area would be good. We can reset our skills, so nothing is permanent. But it's not something you want to do all the time. I'm fairly certain that there does come a point where you get lots of additional restrictions. In terms of navigation, we could either go with minus 25% detection at range, so we're harder to find, which does open up certain doors for us, especially smuggling routes. Our sensors would be better, so we can detect people looking for us a little bit easier, and we can move faster whilst still being slow. What it means by +3 to burn level at which the fleet is considered to be moving slowly, there are certain environmental factors where if you're not moving slowly, you can take damage. But with the +3 to burn level, you can be moving faster while still be considered slow enough not to take damage. Oh my lord. Italics with the raiding party. Hello, mate. Hello, raiders. I am checking out Starsector Vanilla. I wasn't bold enough to jump into the mods just yet. I want to actually see how things are changing right now underneath any changes mods would bring. Is the way that I figured would be best. I do find there to be a certain irony that Ionic Naga is defending from the raid using Etal emotes. Does this count as taking someone's weapons and using them against them? There clearly isn't enough defense here, but I think that is particularly marvelous. Oh wow! Clearly the espionage department has been doing its job. I knew those ducats weren't ducats wasted, no matter what anyone else says. Trying the changes without mods is also how I did. Yeah, it does seem worth it, especially since one of the biggest changes is the skills. One of the biggest changes is the skills. And that's why we're just sat here right now. We're in the tutorial, this is our first level up, and we're just having a look at what we can change. But I actually feel that this is a good change. I especially feel good about this change, this being much later in the tree, because frankly that should be an elite. Being able to get rid of demods should be an elite skill. That was way too easy to get before. This would also add hull mods and abilities. And this is kind of cool. The neutrino detector is an awesome ability, actually, in that you can use it to find hidden things in a system. And one of the things one of the other changes to the way the skills work now that I really like is you don't have to make your way through the entire skill tree before you can wrap back around and pick up other skills that you wanted as well. So this choice is, I think, for a lot of people, a difficult choice to make, whether they want to be able to transverse jump or whether they want the neutrino detector. But now they can just pick both of them in one go. But leadership we're going to avoid. Our fleet isn't big enough yet to actually make use of that. I think having the salvage skill, since we have gone more with a salvage start, and a combat skill would be the move to make. Plus 60 second operating time, plus 15% maximum combat readiness. Like, our combat readiness right now starts at like a normal amount and then degrades. But if you push it beyond that normal amount, so like plus 15% would give us 85% max, our ship would start off being better. It would be so ready for combat. It doesn't have any direct metrics that I could draw a line between, but you could kind of imagine it, instead of like going into the fight and just being really good with the reloading drills. No, your crew were ready for this fight. All the guns are preloaded. Everything is ready to go from the get-go. There is no ramping up time. You're hitting the ground running at 85%. Damage control also quite nice. Minus 25% hull damage taken, minus 50% crew lost, 50% faster in-combat weapon and engine repairs, and the automated repair unit hull mod. The hull mods that we unlock through skills are things that we can then build into ships ourselves, just because we just know how to do it. Field modulation, minus 15% damage taken by shields, and minus 25% flux generated by active phase cloak. Now that would be an interesting one. I'm really interested in checking out the phase cloaks and how phase cloaking has changed, because that was probably one of the other big changes. The skills and the way the phase ships worked. At elite levels, 15% hard flux dissipation while shields are active. That's actually kind of huge. And also minus 50% phase cloak cooldown. Long lost ferret, that is... That's one way of looking at it, yes. I guess you could think of like 80% combat readiness as a girlfriend asking you a loaded question. She already knows the answer and has an argument prepared. I mean, you know, hitting the ground running was a good enough analogy, I feel, but you could definitely go with that one. I feel it speaks volumes as to your private life, really. It's like, look, okay, mistakes have been made, but here I stand, always ready for battle. Point defense, quite nice. Extended range to point defense weapons is huge, when a lot of weapons on my ship right now are point defense weapons. Especially later on, there's one mod that allows all weapons to be treated as point defense weapons. Would that increase the range of all weapons, like all small weapons, by 200? Because that's a hell of a synergy if it does. If anyone is particularly knowledgeable in chat, do let me know, because that is a hell of a synergy. If you get the hull mod, which allows all small weapons to act like point defense weapons, and this also affects them, then suddenly your lasers can punch 200 extra range out. Target analysis, plus 10% damage to destroyers, plus 15 to cruisers, plus 20% to capital ships. I mean, that's quite nice. Wolfpack tactics, all frigates and destroyers with officers, including the flagship. I mean, there's only one ship with an officer right now. Coordinate maneuvers, plus 6% to nav rating of fleet deployed. That isn't really going to apply to us for a little while. That one would apply immediately, but not right now. Plus 15% maximum combat readiness for combat ships. That's kind of amazing if you mix that in with a couple of other things. This would, honestly... This one is good. But... this one right now would affect 2 ships, whereas this one would only affect 1. I mean, granted, it does other things, but that's actually kind of cool. So we could go in with 2 ships ready to brawl, you know, with their girlfriend arguments prepared. I believe integrated point defense AI makes all weapons it affects count as point defense for that skill and other buffs. That kind of is ridiculously amazing, Joseph. Okay, so if we can pick up the integrated point defense AI, then picking up the point defense ability is going to be bonkers. Absolutely bonkers, especially because it affects fighters from the piloted ship, and I kind of want to move towards carriers for this run. So if I have fighters with point defense weapons on a carrier, which is probably going to be mostly point defense weapons and missiles, my point defense weapons are now really long range, and also my fighters have super long range weapons. Omewamo Starsector? Nani? Indeed. I do agree. Concur, in fact. Fighter uplink would be great to grab. Especially if it's not just me with a capital ship that is a carrier, but we've got a couple of carriers. Though it does have a maximum of 8 or less fighter bays. 50% target leading accuracy is nice. I don't believe hull mods affect fighters like that, sadly. No, but this does say... Where was it? Where was it? Was it this one the one I was looking at? Send Marines point defense weapons by 200. Point defense not affected by decoy flares. Small non-missile weapons act as point defense. And then... plus 50%. Yeah, affects piloted ship and fighters from the piloted ship. Oh, maybe the elite... Yeah. I see the elite skill might only affect... Like, they might not be... But I think there are fighters with point defense weapons on them, but the elite skill might only affect the ship. I see what you're saying, yeah. I get what you're saying. It'll be interesting to see it. It'll be interesting to see how that goes. Okay, well, for now, I'm actually going to go with... We're going to start building towards this. I kind of feel like maybe I'm making a mistake with not picking a combat skill for myself, but we're going to go with crew training so that the whole fleet is a little bit stronger. Confirm. We got no story points to spend here, but that's fine because in the tutorial you're going to have another use for story points very, very soon. Shortly after dispatching the pirates, you'd receive a tight beam communication from the system's main inhabited world, Ankita. The message is brief and asks you to travel there and contact Station Commander Cruz as soon as possible. Let's lay in a course for Ankita. You don't need to do this to travel, but it helps keep track of where you're going and how long it will take to get there. After dismissing this dialog, press E to open the intel screen. To view the details of the message you've received, select the message and click on Show on Map button to open the map centered directly on Ankita. Then left click and hold on the planet and select Lay in Course from the menu that pops up. Alternatively, you can just right click on Ankita. Well, why just right click when you can left click and hold? You could also use Tab to open up the map and locate Ankita manually. You're giving me too many options, game. Not really. It's actually cool to have so many ways to do it, but it's like... There's always that part when in a tutorial, it's like, okay, so once this tutorial list is over, I need you to do this thing. But you could also do it in this other way. And also, don't forget that there's another way that you could do it as well. And also, there is this way. It's like, you're giving me too much text whilst needing me to finish reading it before I actually start doing anything. This is a bad way to do tutorials. Trust me. No. We will go to Ankita. There we go. Pop. We are quite some way away, though. Jane, thank you very much for the 9 months, mate. And Boscaro, thank you for the 74, my lord. Hello, dear Aavak. What have you got there? I have got a Wayfarer custom combat freighter and also a Shepherd custom drone tender that we need to rename, actually. Ankita is pretty far away. It'll take a while to get there at this rate. The sustained burn ability is useful for long-distance travel. Activating it will briefly stop the fleet and reduce its acceleration to a minimum, but the maximum burn level will be much higher. A sustained burn can be interrupted by other fleets activating an interdiction pulse. activate sustained burn and get to Ankita more quickly. You can also press and hold shift to speed up time. I mean, I could do that, or I could just let it take time to happen, but okay. You want me to do sustained burn? You notice that the burn level is now much, much higher. Is there a way for me to untether the camera from my cursor? Because if I want to mouse over stuff on the UI and I pull my camera away, that's going to get me in trouble eventually. Something is going to be outside of my viewing window and is just going to sneak up on me and blat my fleet. It's going to happen. You're coming up on an asteroid belt. If you go through at full speed, there's a chance your fleet may be knocked off course, and some of your ships might even suffer damage from the asteroid belts. Right-click. Yeah, there's a free camera view. Oh, my lord, thank you. A slow-moving fleet avoids this danger. Press and hold S to move slowly until you're through the asteroid belt. The danger is low, however, especially since the belt is thin, and you're only going across it. You could also get away with just going full speed. Throw caution to the wind, you say? Very well. No! We risked it for a biscuit, and instead we played snooker with asteroids. Hopefully that doesn't hit a planet somewhere along the way. So sad. So sad.